Hi, I'm Mary Barbara Hanna, and I'm here with,
Anne Frost.
and we are going to talk to you today about three leadership differentiators. So, Anne, let's kick off by just explaining the word differentiator. Why did we select that word?
In my experience, from what I've learned over the last 20 plus years, doing trainings and such, leadership to me, and from the feedback I've gotten from others, is about how to distinguish yourself from the rest, how to really take, I mean, literally a leadership role into maybe a different space that others haven't considered before, and really encompassing um, and involving and encouraging those team members so that you are highly successful, highly productive, highly committed. The list goes on.
So we decided, Ann and I, that we would use these three differentiators as part of or as the top three that would help anybody become a better leader. Now, that leader, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO of a company, if you are the frontline people in shipping and receiving. All of these things are important when it comes to being on a team and leading a team. And really, truly, as Ann and I have often discussed, leading yourself. And that's really where we want to focus a little bit today. These leadership differentiators aren't something you would put on just in front of a team. This is where you actually start developing yourself and your own skill set and what you're able to do first with yourself. And then as you master those skills, being able to do them with other people. So Anne, let's go ahead and go to the first one. Today in this little video, we're just going to talk about authenticity. There's two more videos. One will in which we'll discuss bring out the best in others. And the third one is the willingness to give and receive constructive feedback. So today we're just going to talk about authenticity.
And just to note that, as you said, these are the top three that we'll be speaking to, and each one of these could or does have a variety of different components or elements, and these are just kind of the broader overview
Yes.
that we'll
Yeah.
be talking about. So on with the show. Let's talk about authenticity.
All
What does
right.
that mean to you, Mary Barbara?
Well, authenticity, the word, that root word of authentic, being the real thing. Do you remember, Anne, when we were not so young, there was that Ella Fitzgerald commercial, is it live or is it Memorex? And she's
Correct. I do remember.
singing and the glass breaks. I mean, for all of you who are under a certain age, you might not know that, but you could probably find it on YouTube. But the point being, is it real or are they just faking it?
Mhm.
And for sure, and we could talk about that some other time, fake it till you make it actually does have a place in leadership. We're not talking about that today. Today, we're talking about being who you really are. And so if that means that you like to use humor in your trainings, if that means that you like information that's data driven and you like to share facts and numbers, whatever is real to you and speaks to you the most about how you are with other people. Um, it's not always easy to be ourselves, obviously, with other people. And in that leadership role, especially, I think, if you are someone who was a peer and now have moved into a manager role, this idea of being authentic, who are you with these people that you were once friends with, coworkers, and now you're actually the next step up? How do you maintain that authenticity? And, one thing I'll say, and then Anne, you can pitch in here, it's really about trust and the idea that you can trust yourself to handle whatever situation comes your way. So, for example, we won't be covering difficult conversations today, but part of being a manager is having difficult conversations. Heck, even being a coworker and means having difficult conversations. So trusting yourself that you can go into those difficult conversations and be able to handle what comes your way, the emotions, the frustrations, what are they? That's part of your authenticity. You don't want to pretend to be someone else, especially with people who already know you. They're counting on you, they're looking to you to still be who you are, even though you have to bring a more significant level of management to the situation. Anne, what do you think? What are your thoughts on authenticity?
Well, as you were talking, Mary Barbara, one of the things that came to my mind is ownership
Mm,
of just letting your, and admitting it to yourself and maybe even sharing with others that you may not know something or you may have made a mistake. To me, that's a big part of, you mentioned trust, which I totally agree. That's such a huge part of this. And trust, or being trustworthy,
Mm,
doesn't always mean just if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Or you can trust me, I know what I'm talking about. A big component to trusting someone is your willingness to be vulnerable with them, to
yes.
sharing, I don't know how to do this, or I really, botched this part of the project and I need help. And what came to my mind was, let's go back in time for a moment, about 3 decades. I was kind of on this uh, particular project, I was kind of the new person on the team. However, even though I was new, I was tapped to be the team leader. And we were planning this huge event in the city, and I was in charge of this team that was going to make that happen. Now, there were others, one in particular that had been a part of this group for quite some time. She felt like, she had tenure.
Mm.
She should have been tapped as the team leader. And now here's this youngish upstart coming in and sort of scooting her out of the way. Part of this project included working with this piece of software. It was data collection that we had to use to get, who we were going to invite and how to process this and so on and so forth. I didn't know how to use this piece of software. All right. The person that was sort of upset that I was now leading this team, she knew it in her sleep how to use it. So it comes time, we've got to, there's a deadline looming, and it's like, I do not know how to do this. What am I going to do? I felt like at the time, people were looking at me like I should have all the answers, and I did not. So I had a choice to make, right? I could either fake it till I make it, which, as you said, there's room for that in leadership. In this circumstance, it wasn't. Or I could walk down the hall and ask this person for her help. So I chose the latter. I walked down the hall and I said, Sandy, you know this in your sleep. I'm scared to death. I'm going to mess this up. Will you please help me? And in that moment and I don't think I realized it at the time. I didn't really have that. The light bulb didn't go off until a couple of weeks later. But at that point in time, what I did was just engage her enough to get her to help me work through my problem. And we became fast friends as a result of that.
Oh,
Uh, but that moment where I was able to own my limitations, to be vulnerable with her and share, I don't know how to do this. I feel like I'm going to mess this up. I need your help. That just made all the difference in the world. And I think sometimes we leaders have a hard time with that because they are stuck on with the perception of I need to know everything. I need to be in charge. I need to have control. And when they don't, I think more often than not, that's when there's a negative outcome. And when you can own it and say it and invite people to help you, you've just increased that level of your relationship. So that's
exactly.
what I get out of this.
I think that you've increased the trust,
Absolutely,
right?
100%.
Because now you're telling people and exactly being authentic from the beginning, showing vulnerability in the beginning. You didn't get this promotion or get this job because you're terrible, because you don't know what you're doing, but you demonstrated expertise in some way. And there is always the expectation that you will attain this level and then grow through learning and experience to the next level. So everybody goes through this. Everybody has a first day on the job where they don't know what they're doing.
Mhm.
Everybody has to have somebody help them, figure out the time clock or how to use the microwave or how to use software.
Yes.
So to all those things. So being authentic and being, as you said, vulnerable is really key. And I think we won't talk, we'll bring this up in our next video, but this is that opportunity to bring out the best in others. I was
Mhm.
really curious as to your coworker's response when you went to ask for help. And in the same vein, I can share with the audience how when you and I first met, we were working together to deliver some training, and I had put together a PowerPoint and I'd sent it your way and said, hey, just edit however you want or do whatever you'd like to it. And of course, it came back phenomenal. Anne Frost, queen of PowerPoint. And in that moment, because I was new to the team, I felt a little intimidated. I wanted to be, you know, it's a lot about status. I know we're not going to
Mhm.
talk about that specific model today, but there is something to be said for establishing our status in the group and and then recognizing the importance of setting aside ego, because status isn't always going to get you where you want to be, right, to
Right.
the
Absolutely.
goal, right?
Mhm.
So anyway, so I reached out, just as you said, Anne. I reached out for the audience listening. I reached out to Anne, and I had two choices, right? I could be like, hey, I made the PowerPoint, there's no need for you to change it, it looks fine. Or I could just acknowledge that Anne is phenomenal at PowerPoint and ask her to help me learn to use PowerPoint more proficiently and to make my PowerPoints more interesting and not just a bunch of words on the screen. And of course, I did not make the PowerPoint you're looking at, and did, because, let's just face it, that's one of her strong skill sets, is, as she likes to call it, arts and crafts. And I like to call it tearing out my hair. Um, so, Anne, let's talk a little bit about the tagline that you included at the bottom. Be
Yes.
so completely yourself that others can be themselves too.
I might have to pull out my soapbox for this.
Go right ahead. We have
Uh,
we have at least 3 more minutes.
oh my God. So that resonated with me because a lot of times we're in an environment where there's just misperceptions on both sides of the desk, if you will. And if I'm the team member, you're the team leader, there may be a situation where I just feel like, well, I can't go to her, I can't ask her. I'll be in trouble. I'll have to stay after class or whatever that looks like. There's just some uncertainty and even a little bit of fear that I can't be vulnerable with you. I can't be my authentic self with you. So, by you as team leader being your true authentic self to the point where you are actually modeling the behavior you want to see in others. So when you demonstrate and say to me, I need your help with this PowerPoint, it's like, whoa, that kind of makes me sit up a little straighter. I get a little bit more energy around being a part of a functioning, high performing part of this team because you have asked for my help on something that I really enjoy doing.
Lucky
And
for
I
me.
get to demonstrate to you, yeah, as my team, it's like, yeah, I've got this skill set. So when you're able to do this on a consistent, sincere, and regular basis, you're just really opening the doors for others to walk through and be their authentic selves as well. So that they can ask the question, maybe, I don't know how to do this, but I sure want to learn how. It's something that's always interested me. Can I take this and see what happens with it, knowing that you, as my team leader, will be there to support and guide if I fall down, and I won't be in trouble for that. I think that's a big part of why some folks don't do or take initiative is that there's a, some uncertainty or fear around, well, what happens when I fall down?
Hmm.
Am I now out the door? Or is somebody going to be there to, extend a hand? Here, let me help you with this. Not to take away the accountability or the
Right.
responsibility of it
Right.
all, but just to say, I'm here, support, guidance, whatever you need. Let's make this happen. So when I saw this or when I stole this, I got very excited because it's like, yes, if I can witness you, and that's what I hope happened, in this story that I shared with you, by me going to Sandy and asking her, I feel like other team members kind of witness that for themselves. And it's like, oh, this is going to be okay.
Hmm.
There aren't these super high expectations that can be met. She is human, you know, we all make mistakes. So it kind of puts everybody at ease and minimizes the anxiety and uncertainty that you have that creates a lot of
Yeah.
issues for some folks. So,
I think also when we talk about being authentic and so that people can be completely themselves, there's that element of trust. Again, they trust that when they show you who they really are, that they'll be accepted for who that is.
yes.
Right. So as the leader, this is the other place. And again, we're going to talk about bringing out the best in others, but this can be a little preview of that. As a leader, learning to accept people as they are and meeting them where they are, right?
Hmm.
That's part of it because they are looking for confirmation or what's the other word I would be looking for there? For some acknowledgement that you are accepting them for the
Hmm.
person that they are. So if you have a person that comes into your meetings and they get very fidgety when it starts to run long, maybe these are people that are very keen on keeping to a good schedule. If you have other people that come in and need to, take notes, all these notes or whatever, acknowledging that these are people that like attention to detail, whatever those things are. So making space, there has to be space in your team development for accepting people as they are and that trust in yourself, again, that you can handle whatever people are going to show you,
Hmm.
and that there's opportunity, which we'll talk about in our third series here, our third session, feedback. If there's
Hmm.
really an issue with the way people are behaving, here's that opportunity for the positive and sometimes reactive feedback. But we'll talk more about that in video number 3. All righty,
All
and
right.
that's all the time we have. It was so great
Yes.
chatting with you about
Yes.
authenticity.
Thank you.
I invite everybody to check out our next video, Bringing Out the Best in Others. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.